The name of the story is The Eggs. Mr. Sun whispered a sweet good morning to Cock-a-doodle Tong as he yawned lazily. It wasn't going to be a great day, thought Mr. Sun. In Cock-a-doodle Tong, Mr. Rooster was up ready to do his daily chores. He began by awakening the people from the tongue. Cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo, went his voice as he sadly remembered that Mrs. Hen was no longer with him. He had told the Boo Peeps that Mrs. Hen had won a trip to a faraway land. In the house of Mr. Rooster laid 5 little Boo Peeps fast asleep. Get up, said Mr. Rooster as he flapped his wings to wake them up. Today will be a heavy day. The sun doesn't seem well, so probably Mr. Rain will take over, he said as he busily started changing the Boo Peeps. Sally was the oldest of the Boo Peep, a very jovial and loving sister. Nevertheless, she had one weakness. She never took things serious. JR was the youngest of the Peep. He was sad and missed Mama, but tried to help in all he could. Mr. Hen spoke to Sally. The eggs that are in the barnyard need lots of care. I would like you to bring them in as soon as you finish your breakfast, he said in a firm tone of voice. Sally nodded her head and hurried to the room. JR was close by, so he hugged Mr. Rooster a sweet goodbye. The sun shone bright and warm on them. Ah, what a beautiful day, exclaimed Sally. The little Boo Peeps peeped behind. At home, JR was busily crossing the eggs one by one. He was too small though, so he was getting tired. He struggled in and out until he crossed the last egg. He thought he would go and meet the rest, so Sally wouldn't be mad. But he was too tired that he fell asleep beside the eggs. Sally and the Peeps were having fun, when suddenly Sally felt a cold drop on her forehead. Oh no, the egg, she cried. The rain started coming down and Sally was trapped with the Peeps under a shed. Sally was crying sadly. The eggs will be washed out and Mr. Rooster will be sad. She thought so many things that she hadn't seen that JR was missing. The rain ceased and she was afraid to go home, but the Peeps were hungry. Heartbrokenly, she walked towards home. She sent the Peeps home and hurried to the barn. The eggs, she cried. The eggs were not there. She fell to her knees and wept dearly. Suddenly, the barn door squealed as it was opened. Sally didn't remove her hands from her face. She knew Dad would be mad. She felt a gentle touch as Dad spoke. Sally dear, you did 2 wrong things today. You disobeyed my petition and you were irresponsible. Sally was too ashamed to look at her dad, worse to answer. Nevertheless, Dad continued, today you will learn a lesson. Your little brother JR stayed behind and he did it. He has shown that it is very important to obey and to be responsible. Sally opened her eyes wide open. How could she have forgotten JR behind? What if something happened to him? Boo boo, went Sally louder. Dad held her beak up and looked lovingly to her. Daughter, JR saved the eggs, and as of today, you will be responsible and obedient, smiled Dad. I do, cried Sally. I'll never be disobedient and I'll be responsible because my decision could have been disastrous. Both Sally and Dad walked home, hugging each other. Dad knew Sally had learned a lesson, and Sally knew the importance of obeying and being responsible. The end. Alright class, so remember that it is important for you to read with expression when you're reading a story, because when you read with expression, you allow the listener or the audience to understand exactly what the words that you are reading mean. For example, you can have the audience know if a character is sad, mad, if the character is happy by just you reading with expression. So remember that when you read, you need to read with expression, just as I did in the story.
Alright class, so now that we have read the story, I want you to go back to your prediction that you wrote at the beginning, and I want you to check if the prediction was close, if it was correct or close to what the story is about. Alright, so how many of you enjoyed this story? Very good. But in this story, we have a few new words. And I want you to find or identify a word that is new to you. When you have done that, I want you to send the word to me via WhatsApp. Alright guys, thank you very much for sending your words via WhatsApp. And thank you for participating. Today we are going to be discussing 5 new words. The first one is jovial. Jovial. Let's read it together. Jovial. Let's read it one more time. Jovial. Now, let's see how the word jovial is used in the sentence in the story. Here we have the first sentence. Sally was a very jovial and loving sister. Read it one more time. Sally was a very jovial and loving sister. How is the word jovial used in the sentence? Very good. Jovial is telling us what type of person Sally is. A jovial and loving sister. Loving sister. Here the word jovial means that you are friendly. Means that you are friendly, you're in a good mood or happy. Therefore, Sally is a very friendly person. So when we read the sentence, we can understand that Sally is a friendly and loving sister. How many of you are a jovial person? Friendly like Sally, are always in a good mood. Alright, very good. Let's read the sentence one more time. Sally was a very jovial and loving sister. Jovial means friendly or in a good mood. Alright, let's move on to the second word. Seized. Repeat that again. Seized. Let's look at how the word is used in the sentence from the story. The rain ceased and she went home. Let's read it one more time. The rain ceased and she went home. How is this word used in the sentence? What is it telling us? It is showing us an action. It's telling us an action. Something that the rain did. What do you think that the rain did? And she was able to go home. Very good. It stopped. It stopped. So the rain stopped and she went home. The rain ceased and she went home. So the word ceased means to bring an action to an end. Right? So let's read the sentence one more time. The rain ceased and she went home. Very good guys, you're doing a good job. Let's move on to the third word. Squealed. Repeat it. Squealed. Let's look at how the word is used in the sentence. The barn door squealed as it was open. One more time. The barn door squealed as it was open. How is the word squealed used in the sentence? It is telling us that the barn door did something when it was open. So therefore, it is showing us an action, right? So what action do you think that the barn door did when you open it? Very good. It squealed. And squeal means that it has a sharp, high, or a that sharp, high-pitched sound, right? How many of you have opened a door and you hear the door go, right? That means that it squealed. Squealed. The barn door squealed as it was open. Squealed is a sharp, high-pitched sound. Alright, let's move on to the fourth word. Petition. Let's read it again. Petition. One more time. Petition. Alright, let's look at the word in the sentence. You disobeyed my petition. Let's read it again. You disobeyed my petition. The word petition here, who is it used? My petition. My petition here is used as a noun. Alright, so my petition here is used as a noun. So here it says you disobeyed my petition. What does the word petition mean? My petition. Something that I requested, right? It's a request that is a request of something that is desired, right? So the word petition is a request for something that is desired. You ask a petition for something, you request something. So you disobeyed my petition, my request. Very good. Let's move on to the fifth word. Exclaim. Let's read it again. Exclaim. What a beautiful day! Exclaimed Sally. Let's read that one more time. What a beautiful day! Exclaimed Sally. So how is the word exclaim being used in the sentence? What is the word exclaim doing? It's doing an action, right? So exclaim here is doing an action. The word exclaim here means that a cry, a loud cry with emotions, or a loud noise that is being done with emotions. What a beautiful day! Here you're using emotions, right? So you have a loud song, a loud cry with emotions. For example, you see something beautiful and you say, wow, that is beautiful. Emotions. A loud cry, but with emotions. Very good, very good. So I want you to read these words one more time over with me. First one is jovial. Jovial. The second one is seized. Seized. Third one is squealed. Squealed. The fourth one is petition. Petition. And the last one is exclaim. Very good. Now I want you to take a look at something here before we leave. But first of all, I want to ask you this question. Who was Sally in the story? Who was Sally in the story? Very good. She was a chick. Yes, she was the oldest. But what was she to JR? Great. She was his sister. And we are going to take a look at this word here. Sister. Sister. We are going to be learning 3 new songs today. But before doing that, I want you to take a look at the video that we're going to have next. And I want you to pay keen attention to the video. I hope that you enjoy it. See you! Alright class, today we're going to be learning about R control. R! I'm just an R. And I'm just minding my own business. R! And then suddenly comes along my friend. And alone, what sound do you make? Eh. Are you sure? Because I'm Bossy R and I control your sound. R! When we're all alone, when we're together, what sound do we make? Hey, get along. I'm just a nerd, all by myself. All by myself, I'm just a nerd. And then my friend comes along. What sound do you make when you're all alone? That's the sound that you will make because I'm bossy R. And together we make the sound. Hey, get along. I'm just an R. I'm bossy R. I'm bossy R. And then my friend. What song do you make when you're all alone? Oh, are you sure? Because I'm bossy. I'm a controlling sound, and I make this sound. And together we make the song. Alright. I'm an R. I'm bossy R. And when I'm with a vowel, I control the song. Alright guys, so how many of you enjoyed the video? I'm sure you enjoyed it because I enjoyed making that video. I had a lot of fun. And I'm pretty sure that it was easy for you to follow the sounds. So, we're going to be learning a little more about the R control vowels. What is the sound that Mr. Basiar do? Let's do it. Alright, so here we have 3 new R control vowels that we are going to be discussing today. The first one is with an E. We don't say the sound or E here, we say Remember that Mr. Basiar is a controlling sound. So he takes over of the vowel sound here and it makes The second one here, we have the vowel I. And when the I is alone, it makes the short sound I or the long sound I. But when it is with with Mr. Basiar, he takes control of the sound and therefore it makes And the third one, we have the vowel U. When Mr. Basiar decides to take control of the sound, he makes the sound So the 3 of them here are 3 new R control vowels. What can you tell me of those 3 new R control vowels? Very good. 3 of them have the same sound. Let's say it together, like the parrot does. Very good. So when the vowels E, I, or U are next to an R, Mr. Basiar, they do not say their short or long sounds. They say, very good, Alright, so let's take a look at some examples of the 3 R control vowels. Here, the first one, with the vowel E, we have rooster. Rooster. Let's repeat it. Rooster. Rooster. And we can see here that we have the R controlled vowel. The second one we have alert. Alert. We can see here the R controlled vowel. And the third one we have clerk. Let's repeat it. Clerk. Clerk. We have the R controlled vowel there. So these are 3 examples of the R controlled vowel In the second R controlled vowel we have swirl, swirl, and we have the R controlled vowel here. The second one we have dirt. Repeat it. Dirt. Dirt. We have the R controlled vowel here. And the third one we have chirp. Say it one more time. Chirp. Chirp. So the three of them make the sound Let's move on to the third R controlled vowel with the U. So we have hurt, hurt, hurt. The second one is surprise, surprise. And we have the R controlled vowel here. The other one we have nurse, nurse. Let's repeat it. Nurse. Very good. And these are the three R controlled vowels. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and I'm looking forward for your participation on the engagement that I will be uploading via Google, and I'll be sending through WhatsApp as well. See you guys.
Alright, so for the phonics engagement, I have activity 1. Demonstrate your understanding of 1 to 4 vocabulary words by placing them into categories. Teacher will provide students with 2 specific categories, emotions and actions, or like feeling and actions. Then have students list all of the words they know that could fit into that category. So they're going to be using their vocabulary words, and here we have evidence 1. She placed her vocabulary words under these categories: jovial under feeling, exclaimed under feeling, squealed under action. Here we can see that she has misspelled the word. Seize, petition. So here I would have to make corrections of this misspelled word. And for the differentiation, they were only to place 2 vocabulary words under the category. So here he placed jovial and seize. So now I am going to ask them why they chose to put the word under that specific category, and this is what I got.
Jovial shows someone happy.
Okay, so she said that jovial shows someone happy, therefore happy is a feeling, and that is why she placed it under that category. Let's listen to her other explanation.
This means to stop.
Alright, so here she said that seize means to stop, therefore seize is an action, and that is why she placed it under action. So this was her response, which I think was pretty cool, because from her response I was able to notice that she did understand her vocabulary words. For activity 2, teacher will upload activity in Google Class and will provide a learning package. Have students apply knowledge of R controlled vowels to write 1 to 8 words using the correct spelling. Alright, so here I have Sol. They were given the option that they can print or write on folder sheet. So here's her work. I did not provide the spelling words to her, so she here spelled the words without any help of word bank using the R controlled vowels. She had to write 2 sentences using these words, or some IRUR or ER words, of your own. The burger was nice. I have a pink purse. So this was her work. Now for the differentiation, I gave them less. The first set, they had 9 spelling words here and words that they would have to spell, and he did 6, and I helped them with the word bank. So here he completed his work and he had to write 1 sentence using the R controlled vowel. The turtle moves slow. Alright, for the exploration, I had students think, how would not knowing R controlled vowels affect them in their lives, right? Because I wanted them to understand that learning R controlled vowels was very important. So I made the question, and well, this is a response that I received.
I wouldn't be able to read like I'm doing right now.
Alright, so she explained that if she did not know R controlled vowels, she would not be able to read as she is reading right now. So therefore, not knowing R controlled vowels would affect her reading. So let's move on to the misconception. I usually would ask them to send me a question. For this week, I didn't get much response since it was the last week, but I did get this one, which was a good one.
Why does the ER, IR, UR control vowels have the same sound?
So he wants to know, why does the ER, IR, UR controlled vowels have the same sound? Which is a pretty good question, because definitely they would want to know why, if they are three different vowels, right? So then I explained that the vowel plus the R syllable, also known as the R controlled, and when I presented it as Mr. Bassi R, is a syllable that has a vowel sound that is controlled by the letter R, making it into one sound. I told them that we had already discussed two of those R control songs, which was R, the AR, on the previous week. So that was one song, and this week we had So the explanation was that the R control, Mr. Bassi R, is a very controlling song. So when that R control is after the vowel, it takes control over the song of the vowel. Therefore, the IR, UR, and the ER have the same song, because Mr. Bassi R takes over their song and it makes it into one sound, which is for the IR, UR, and ER. And in the previous week, when we had the AR, it was the song R. So I told them that these are the two different songs that Mr. Bassi R makes, because he's a controlling song. We will be discussing about one more, which is the OR, but that will be for when school reopens. So yeah, they wanted to know why it had the same song. So I believe that was a pretty good question. And for my closure, I have students identify words with the R controlled vowel song using online game. Have students choose one word with the R controlled vowel song and the vocabulary word jovial to write a sentence of their own. So I uploaded the link on Google Class, and I shared it on WhatsApp of a game where they were going to identify the R controlled vowel. They were going to identify words with R controlled vowel song and after playing that game, they were going to write a sentence. So what I did, I had them write the sentence and orally read the sentence for me. So next I have the evidence of that.
The jovial man has dirt on his shirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, how do you do? I'm gonna show you a trick or two. Let's bring out Jim and write his name. Ah, beautiful. Let's take his hat and do the same. Ah, I love it so far. All right. What can we add to the name of Jim to show that his hat belongs to him? Do you know? We'll take a guess. It's good old apostrophe S. Apostrophe S. Apostrophe S. It shows the things that we possess. Jim's hat. Jim's hat. The hat is Jim's, and that's that.
The dog's bone fell in the water.
Alright guys, how many of you enjoyed the video? I hope that you enjoyed them because every single time I prepare a video, I have fun preparing those videos for you. I have a question for you. In the video, we have Jim, and Jim is a boy. But what would happen if we had more boys? How would we write the form? How would we write the plural possessive form of boys? Boys is plural. It means that it is more than one boy. It is 2 or 3 or more boys, and it ends with an S. How would we write the plural possessive form of boys? Alright, now let's go back to Jim. Jim is a boy, but Jim can also be a man. What would happen if we had more men? Yes, men. Men is plural, is the plural form for man. And men does not carry an S, but men is plural. How would we write the plural possessive form of men? Alright, well, let's read here to find out and see how would we write the plural possessive form of those nouns. Alright, we have plural possessive noun. A plural possessive noun shows that more than one person or thing possesses, which means own an object. Let's read the first rule here. To make a plural noun possessive, just add an apostrophe after the S. For example, we have kids. The noun kids means that we have more than one kid. More than one kid. So it means that we have 2, 3 or more kids, right? And kids ends with an S because it is plural. So if we want to form the plural possessive form of kids, what are we going to do? We're only going to add an apostrophe at the end. We are not going to add an S. Kids already ends with an S. So we're only going to add an apostrophe. And then we go back to boys. You remember from Jim? Boys end with an S because it's plural. So how do we write the plural possessive form of boys? Can you tell me? Very good. We only add an apostrophe at the end. Alright, good job. Now let's go to the second rule. Add an apostrophe S when a plural noun does not end in S. Example, children. Children here, the noun children is plural. It does not end with an S, but children is plural. Therefore, if we want to form the plural possessive form of children, then the rule says that we add an apostrophe S. Apostrophe S. So then we go back to men. You remember we spoke about men? Alright, men is plural. So how do we write the plural possessive form of men? Come on guys, put on your thinking cap. Alright, very good. Men does not end with an S. Therefore, when we write the plural possessive form of men, we add an apostrophe S. Very good. Alright, let's do a few other examples using sentences from the story, the eggs. Alright, the first one here. The eggs' colors were beautiful. Let's read that one more time. The eggs' colors were beautiful. Here we have the noun eggs. Eggs. Eggs here, the plural form of the noun eggs, it ends with an S, right? Because it means that there's more than one egg. It's 2, 3, or more eggs. So when we are going to write the plural possessive form of eggs, we only add an apostrophe. And the apostrophe here is what shows the relationship of eggs and colors. So here, the plural possessive form of eggs is eggs with the apostrophe at the end. Now, the second sentence here we have the chicks' chores began early in the morning. Let's read it one more time. The chicks' chores began early in the morning. Alright, here the noun chicks ends with an S because it's talking about more than one chick. 2, 3, or more chicks. Therefore, it ends with an S. So, for us to write the plural possessive form of chicks, we only add an apostrophe. Only add an apostrophe. Now, it is important for us to know that we have other irregular nouns. We have other irregular nouns such as children and men. We also have women. Women is the plural form of woman. We also have teeth. Teeth is the plural form of tooth. We also have geese. Geese is the plural form of goose. And there are other several irregular nouns. And these nouns does not carry an S, but they are plural. So when you want to write the plural possessive noun of the plural possessive form of these nouns, you will add an apostrophe S. But if you have a plural noun that ends with an S, then you only add an apostrophe. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this lesson and I'm looking forward for your participation in the engagement. See you!
Alright, so for my grammar engagement, Activity 1, have students produce orally at least 1 to 3 plural possessive nouns while playing the game I have, you have. For example, when I call them via video call on WhatsApp, I would tell them I have brothers who have the correct spelling of the noun sisters in this sentence. So they would have to read the sentence. My twin blank birthday is this Saturday, and they would have to use the correct form of the plural possessive noun. Sisters. So this was done via video call, but I had some parents record them to be able to present the evidence.
I have Phonics.
Alright, so this was for the first one, and I did agree with him.
I have dreams.
I have James, which is correct because James ends with an S. So to form the plural possessive form of that would be just to add an apostrophe. So move on to the other one.
I have sisters.
Alright, very good. And that is correct because woman is plural and it does not end with an S. Therefore, to form the plural possessive form of it, you add an apostrophe S. So I enjoyed doing this activity with my students, and I believe that they enjoyed it as well, as it was a form of a game. Other than just having them complete our worksheet, doing it in this way, they did had fun. So differentiation helps lower students produce orally at least one possessive, plural possessive noun while playing I have, you have. Alright. So activity 2, students are given 1 to 4 sentences to analyze the correct form of plural possessive nouns, and students will justify their answers orally. So I gave them 4 sentences here. Some of them would have the correct form of plural possessive nouns, and some of them would be incorrect. So therefore, they would have to analyze the sentence and see if it is the plural possessive form is used correctly, or if it is wrong, and then they would have to make the corrections, and I would call them and they would have to justify their answer. Here we have the evidence of the work being completed. Number 1, the boy's cereal bowl fell off the top shelf. He made a correction here. Then number 2 says this is correct. So let's hear his justification.
The sentence is wrong because the boys is a plural noun. So you should only add an apostrophe.
Alright, so since the noun boys ended with an S, to make it plural possessive, you should only add an apostrophe. And let's hear the second one.
The sentence is correct because else is a plural noun, so you just add an apostrophe.
Alright, so this is his feedback. So the exploration. As students, what would happen if when we wrote sentences, we would not use any apostrophes? Have them explain in their own words.
I don't know how many dogs I will have in my sentence. For example, my dog's chains were stolen. You see that apostrophe S? But if we didn't have that apostrophe S, you wouldn't know how many dogs I will have.
And I really like this little girl. She always thinking out of the box. She is really clever. With this student, I feel that I get challenged sometimes. So I really enjoyed hearing her response. Now, misconceptions. I really like how I have some parents that are very supportive, and even though I would have some students, slower students, I try to encourage them, and I really admire parents that would work along with me and to help their child. As in this case,
Miss Coye, while words like don't or can is not possessive nouns.
Alright, so this child, his mom is really supportive, and I like the fact that they don't limit him because if he is a slower student or whatever, the parent is always very supportive. So this is the question, which was a really good question. why are these words like don't? Why are they not possessive nouns? And that's a really good question because don't has an apostrophe. So he's wondering why the word don't is not a plural, is not a possessive noun since it has an apostrophe. So I explained that the word don't is a contraction. A contraction has an apostrophe that takes the place of letters. For example, I am. So you use the apostrophe here to make the word smaller. Like for example, I am, we remove the A and then we join it. Therefore, we form one word instead of having two words there. For example, she is, so we form a contraction word by adding an apostrophe. So instead of saying she is, we remove the I and we say she's. There we use the apostrophe, right? Because the apostrophe takes the place of the letters and makes them into one word. So we have, and then we add the apostrophe, we remove the HA and we say we've, right? So I explained to them that the use of apostrophe here is to replace letters. It takes the letters to make the word shorter and make it into one word. But in the possessive noun, the apostrophe shows possession. It shows possession. So I really enjoyed this question because it is something that they would find confusing. I really like the fact that they brought it up because yes, probably in sentences they would have gotten confusing, but by bringing up this question I was able to make this correction of their misconception. And when they read a sentence on the future and they see contraction words like this, they will know that the use of the apostrophe is not to show possession but to like make the word smaller, right? And in the possessive noun, well, the apostrophe is used for possession. So I enjoyed clearing up this misconception. And my closure, have students write two complete sentences using the apostrophe correctly to form plural possessive nouns. Teacher will call students on video chat and will have them read the sentence orally. So here is my evidence.
The trees leaves are real. The men's shirt were black.
Alright, so for the reading comprehension and the writing, I began my lesson by presenting a picture, and I asked the students to identify the setting of the story, the eggs. So I asked them to send their response via WhatsApp, and here is the feedback.
The story took place at the farm.
And then when she sent the feedback, I asked her what made her think that the story took place at the farm, or what evidence she found in the story, what led her to think or identify that the story took place at the farm.
Where I live, there are a lot of houses, but in the story, I saw a barn, which makes me think that's a farm.
Okay, so she explained that where she lives, there's a lot of houses. So meaning that there's no barn beside her house. So she saw a barn in the story, which led her think that it was in a farm. So I believe that she did a great job. So, all right. At the beginning of my lesson, we decided to do a little reading time. We read the story for phonics. We read the story for grammar, and then we decided that we were going to be doing a little echo reading. So teacher will read a part of the story first, and we'll have students imitate reading of teacher. This will be done through video call. So here's a little evidence that I have. I did not do it as a video call here because the file would be too big, so I decided to just extract the voice background.
Mr. Sun whispered a sweet good morning to Cock-a-doodle-doo-tongue as he yawned lazily. It wasn't going to be a great day, thought Mr. Sun. In Cock-a-doodle-doo-tongue, Mr. Rooster was up ready to do his daily chores. He began by awakening the people from the town. Cock-a-doodle-doo! Cock-a-doodle-doo! Went his voice as he sadly remembered that Mrs. Hen was no longer with him. He had told the Boo Peeps that Mrs. Hen had won a trip to a faraway land. Your turn now.
Mr. Sun whispered a sweet good morning to
Cock-a-doodle-doo
Cock-a-doodle-doo town as he
yawned
lazily. It wasn't going to be a good day, thought Mr. Sun. In Cock-a-doodle-doo town, Mr. Rooster was up ready to do his daily chores. He began by
awakening
the people from the town. Cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo, went his voice as he sadly remembered that Mrs. Hen was no longer with him. He had told the little Boo Peeps that Mrs. Hen had won a trip to a faraway land.
Very good.
All right. So before I had them imitate my reading, I explained to them that it was very important for them to read with expression. So here we can hear a little of how she was changing the different tone of her voice. And with this story, if you heard the piece that it said that Mr. Rooster had told the Boo Peeps that Mrs. Hen had won a trip to a faraway land, several of them asked me what happened to Mrs. Hen. So I had them use their imagination. This story that I made, that I wrote, the intention was that, well, the mom had died, right? And then I presented Mr. Rooster as a single parent. But I had the children or my students use their imagination. But I just wanted to share that that was a question that they wanted to know. So yes, let's move on to the other one. All right. So after doing the reading with my students, I discussed with them that the story that we just read is known or called as a fable. And I asked them if they know what a fable was, if they know what a fable is, or if they have heard a fable before. And then I explained to them that fable is a story that teaches a moral lesson, often in which animals in which animals speak and act like humans. Fables often include animals as main characters, simple characters, and plots, and it also, as mentioned above, it has or teaches a moral lesson. I asked them as well if they had heard a fable before to share with me the fable that they had heard and to share a little details about the fable. All right, and then I reviewed with them the lesson or moral of a story. A moral is a lesson about life that a fable teaches, right? So usually the lesson of the story teaches about how to behave in the world. It teaches you like to be a better person. So when you're looking for the lesson or the moral of the story, you have to think about the main characters, the character traits of the character, the problem and solution, whether the character changes as the story goes on, the lesson the character learned. Did the character learn a lesson at the end? So here I have an evidence of a student that shared her fable that she had heard, and she decided that she wanted to share with me a few about the story. Is there any fable that you have heard before?
Yes.
Which one have you heard? Can you share it with me?
The Lion and the Mouse.
Oh, the Lion and the Mouse. You've heard that one? So what did you learn from that story?
To help each other.
To help each other. Okay, that's good. So can you give me a little details from the story?
Okay. Can I tell you all the story?
Sure, if you want.
Okay. The Lion and the Mouse. So there was 4 little mouse. One little mouse was hiding, and he told all the mouses to come because they were behind the lion. And then all the little mousies were going until one little mouse was going. And when that last one was going, the lion waked up and he had his paw on top of him, on top of the little mousie. And then the little mousie cried and told him in tears, "Please, just let me go. Please, please." And then the lion grabbed his paw and let him go. And then he went crying and running. And then one day, the lion went walking, and he fell for a trap of the hunter. And then he roared and crying. And then the little mouse heard that roar, and he went to save him. He grabbed his little teeth and bite the rope until the lion was let free. And then the mouse and the lion were best friends.
All right. And so the message about that story was that you
help each other.
That's good. That's a really nice story.
Thank you.
All right. So she decided that she wanted to share her fable that she had heard. All right. So then we discussed the characteristics of fable in the story. Of the story, the eggs. We discussed about the different characters in the story, which was Mr. Rooster, Sally, and JR. And we discussed that the story had a moral, that it had a plot. It was a short story. It teaches a lesson. So I asked them to find the characteristics, and then they sent me some response via WhatsApp. All right, so then here I shared a slide that said, "Do you feel comfortable sharing your thoughts out loud right now?" Because we were going to be having a little questioning and oral answering. All of these things was presented as a slide, and their response was to be sent via WhatsApp. Therefore, I gathered all the evidence and set it up to present it to you guys. So we had a questioning and oral discussion. As students, who was the main character of the story? Is the character good, mean, respectful? So here's the first one. So who was the main character of the story? The eggs.
Sally.
Sally. So can you tell me a little more about Sally's character?
She was a nice little chick,
Okay.
but she didn't obey.
She didn't obey? Why do you say that she wasn't obedient?
Cause her dad told her to grab the eggs and put it by the side. But then she didn't obey.
She didn't obey it, okay? So that means that she was disobedient, right? Because she didn't take things serious. Alright, thank you. Okay. So as students, what was the problem of the story? So what was the problem of the story?
That it was raining.
Okay.
And Ali was outside playing, and she didn't listen to her father. She didn't put the eggs by the side.
Okay. All right. And then what was how was the problem solved?
By the little brother.
What did he do?
He grabbed the eggs and put the eggs by the side, and he was too little, and the eggs were very heavy. And when he was done with the last egg, he fell asleep right beside it.
Okay, so he solved the problem because he put the eggs inside, right? Because if he didn't, or he would have left the eggs outside, probably the rain would have washed them away, right? So that is how he solved it. Very good. These are all the questions that we had to focus on before reaching to the moral of the story. I then did a little quick revision about moral, and then we discussed about the ending of the story, what happens at the end of the story, and I explained to them that usually at the end of the story it tells us how the story was solved, how the problem of the story was solved. Usually it let us know if the story ended or had a happy ending, a sad ending, a bad ending. So we shared a little we shared examples of different endings of stories via WhatsApp. And then for the engagement, have students identify the lesson moral of the story, the eggs. They justify their answer with the evidence from the text. So this is the oral evidence.
To be obedient.
All right, and then I have the written one that they had to. She write title of the story, the egg. What is the moral of the story? The moral of the story is to be obedient and responsible. Evidence from text. I know because Sally was not obedient and she got in trouble with her dad. And then we had the exploration. What would have happened if the eggs were washed away? All right, Kamini. So usually at the end of the story, we would be told how the problem of the story would be solved, right? So in this story, the eggs, we already know how this story ended, right? Was it a happy or a sad ending?
Happy.
A happy ending. So what would have happened if the eggs were washed away?
They couldn't break.
They could have break.
They couldn't go away.
Okay, and what do you think would have happened with Sally or JR or with Mr. Rooster?
They'll get sad.
And
Sally will get lashed.
Okay, very good. So, do you think that there could be another way this story could have ended?
Yes. It couldn't end bad.
It could have ended bad. Very good. All right. So that was the exploration, and then the misconception. The misconception here, I had to laugh a little about it. well, I just asked them if they had any questions about the lesson, any questions about the story, or anything they were curious about. And well, this is what I got. So is there anything that you would like to know about the story, something that you're curious or something that's not clear to you?
Where did the dad went to work?
Where did the dad went to work? Okay, that's a nice question. So I wasn't expecting this question, but well, every question is very important, right? So she asked, where did the dad go to work? Where did Mr. Rooster go to work? Well, as the writer of this story, I hadn't thought about it in that way, but since the question was brought up, I explained to her that since Mr. Rooster was a single parent, he had to find work to maintain his little chicks. So I just asked her, and I related the question to real life experiences about single parents, right? And I asked her, where would her dad work? Where does her dad work? I asked her if she knows about a friend, a family member, or a cousin that live only with your fathers, or even with your mother, only with your mom, one parent. And then she said yes, and she shared a few examples of what the parent or the single parent do. And then, well, I told her that the story leaves it open for her imagination. So Mr. Rooster doesn't have a specific job. It all depends on the reader, to what level of imagination you have. So I told her you can use your imagination to give Mr. Rooster a job. And then she said that Mr. Rooster probably went to work at Caribbean Chicken. So yeah, this was a really fun question, but yeah. And then we have the closure. Have students rewrite the story, the eggs, and change the ending of the story. Have them orally present the story with their ending and record themselves. So I have the evidence that she was presenting her story, and I had her read her story orally.
The name of my story is The Eggs. One sunny day, Mr. Rooster woke up early and flapped his wings. He prepared his voice to wake up the neighbors. With his cock-a-doodle-doo, he woke up his chicks and gave them worms to eat. Mr. Rooster told Sally to bring the eggs from the barn. Sally had her headphones on and did not hear her dad. Mr. Rooster went to work, and Sally went to her room to play video games. A snake went to the barn and ate the eggs. When Mr. Rooster came back home, asked Sally where she put the eggs. Sally said, "What eggs?" They went to see the eggs and saw the snake leaving. The snake ate Sally's little brothers. Mr. Rooster was sad and punished Sally.
So what's the message that your story is giving?
You have to hear very good.
Right, thank you.
Anytime. Never use headphones or else you wouldn't hear your parents.
Okay, so probably you can use headphones, but when your parents are talking to you, you should not be using the headphones, right?
That's a very good message.
All right, so this was the evidence. I really enjoyed this lesson, and I would have really loved teaching it in my class with all my students. But I did my best reaching out to all my students, even though it took a lot of time to video chat them and call them individually and have that one-to-one connection with them. But I really enjoyed these lessons, and it made me realize that the children, they have a lot of imagination. They would come up with some questions that, wow, so I was really surprised with the questions that I got, and there was one of them that I had to tell them that I would get back to them with the question. But I really enjoyed this lesson. I hope that you guys enjoyed them too.